This was posted by Jamie and the Magic.
Do you know the relevance of that?
No?
Jamie and his magic torch.
No, don't know.
Kids program.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe this is a reference to Jamie and his magic torch.
Well, it is, you idiot.
Okay, well,
of course it is.
Maybe it's his band name. Maybe it's his surname. Welcome back to The Gassing Station, powered by Michelin. I'm your host, Cam Tate, and joining me as ever is John Howe. John, I forgot to tell people what this podcast is about.
It doesn't matter, Cam. We are so famous now.
We're so big
that everyone knows it's all about politics.
I was looking at the YouTube numbers earlier, and they nearly ticked over into 4 figures.
Really?
Good Lord, that's quite heady.
Yes.
But if you don't know, it's the podcast that goes digging through the PistonHeads forums.
You just ignored the fact that I said this about politics.
Well,
do you hear that?
Yeah, but
should we do one about politics?
No, please.
Really?
We've actually got.
What about football? Should we do football?
Anything but. But interestingly, now that you bring that up, we are going to be talking about something sporty today, but something motorsport.
Is it the fact that you did 13 keepy-uppies in a row?
I couldn't even do 3. I probably couldn't even do 2, to be honest, which is going to come to the surprise of absolutely no one.
As long as you can do 1, as long as you can actually at least drop the ball onto your toes and kick it once, that would be good.
Yeah, I think I could do that. I would just kick it away from me really, really far.
Or through a window.
So we are going to talk about motorsport today in the first one. And, well, not politics, but business, sort of.
Don't say that.
Because it's...
See, politics is quite popular these days, but if you say business,
okay, we're going to talk about Porsche and Le Mans, okay? Just so you don't click off. It's going to be great. But before we get to that, John.
Yes?
What have you been driving this week?
Have you driven anything?
No.
Haven't you?
No. It's quite dry at the moment.
Well,
the car front.
I feel that even though you haven't driven anything,
yes,
what I've driven is poor.
What do you mean poor?
Well, you think I'm going to be going... I actually thought you were going to... Oh, here we go. He's going to be talking miserableness about cars again.
Yes.
I literally have driven something poor. It's called a poor.
A poor?
Yes. Great Wall Motors.
Oh!
Poor.
A Great Wall Motors poor.
It's a pickup called a poor.
I've been in one of these, but you've driven it.
I have driven it. And you know what? Ironically, for something that's called the poor, I thought it was all right. So, I mean, in the context of pickup trucks, because when it comes to pickup trucks, we talked about the... Well, I forgot what it was before, and I've forgotten what it was again. But you'll know.
Oh, the MSRT Ranger.
Yes. I'll call it the Ford Ranger because I can't remember all the other bits and pieces. But in context of that, I said that wasn't very good. It rode appallingly. Well, this one rides appallingly too.
Yes, I remember.
I think it might ride even worse than the Ranger with all its trick suspension. However, the rest of it, I thought it was really good. Interior. It's one of the best interiors I've ever seen on a pickup truck.
Yeah.
In fact, we had this pickup truck.
Right.
And there was also a Toyota Hilux.
Oh, okay. Right.
And I went and sat in the Toyota Hilux just to reappraise that car. I mean, the interior in that is genuinely poo.
Yes. POO.
Than the poor.
Okay, I think we need to actually give a bit of clarity because I don't think PHers will probably really know what a Great Wall Motors is, let alone a poor.
Yeah, but that's why you're going to put a picture up, aren't you? For the YouTubers.
Yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll put up a picture. So basically, Great Wall Motors is one of China's oldest car manufacturers, I believe. It has created a pickup that is, the name of it is spelled POER. Obviously, with our accents, we would go poor.
Yeah, it's poor.
But some people might go, oh, it sounds like power, but it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It's not. Probably should have changed the name for markets where someone will look at that and go, as John has, oh, poor.
I think if anybody out there is going, well, obviously that's power, then it's
not obvious.
I'm going to say to people, take a good long hard look at yourself, because if you're faced with the opportunity of being able to call a car poor and you choose to deliberately call it power, even if power?
This isn't a Porsche situation. This is looking at a word and going, it says poor.
Take up the opportunity when it presents itself to make funny names out of cars. Surely. Everyone would want to do that.
To be fair, on that front, I mean, if this had been called anything else, if it had been called, I don't know, the Truck Master 8000, this is pretty cool. If they'd just been called...
I'd buy a Truck Master. Wouldn't you like a Truck Master?
Pretty cool, actually. Truck Master 8000.
Yeah.
We should be in marketing
I think we should.
For Great Wall.
Yeah.
But if, let's say they just called it, I don't know, the Great Wall Truck, we'd go like, oh, it's nothing. But because they've called it a pore, Great Wall Motors have now featured on the PistonHeads podcast, which they probably wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll leave it there.
No, but I haven't finished telling you all about... No, okay. It's fine.
If you want
it's
a truck.
I feel that they've done a good enough job with the truck that it deserves a reasonable mention in the sense that I think I did say it was very good. I do think it's a very good car, and I believe it's reasonably affordable, and it was much more impressive than I expected it to be. End of the pore.
I'll agree. When I rode shotgun in one a couple of years ago in Asia, and it was better than I was anticipating. I just thought it had a silly name. What also deserves a mention is the PistonHeads auctions, which is something that we've actually been wanting to talk about for a while. The stuff that we've currently got up or that's coming up for auctions, because there's some really good cars there, and we have as you'll find out a little bit later, we've got a car buying challenge section where we go on the classifieds and try and find cars. And a lot of the cars when we do these challenges, the criteria doesn't always meet the stuff on the auctions, and it just seems a shame to not bring up the cars that we've got that you can go and bid on. And we've got some really cool stuff coming up, like something that caught my eye. I couldn't believe that we actually had this. Is a 2022 Nissan Z, or as some might call it, Nissan Z, because it's the because it's yeah. What are you laughing at? It's
the excitement, the enthusiasm with which you were like, oh, I get to say Nissan.
I get to say Nissan Z. It doesn't really work with my accent, does it? So the Nissan Z. Yes. I'm not going to call it the Z again, I promise.
Yes.
This is the 370Z replacement. I think it was unofficially known as it was the 400 prototype several years ago. So it's the car that we didn't get, basically, the Z replacement. But someone has imported one into the UK, presumably from Japan. So you get the square plate, which is always really cool. It's in yellow. It's done 4,900 miles, and that's going to be available for auction soon. I think by the time this podcast... Good? Do I think it looks good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it looks really good. I think it looks better than the 370Z.
Yeah, I
think the interior looks infinitely better.
Well, the side profile, again, apologies if you're listening to this on the radio, but I'm going...
it's a really good-looking car.
If you go on the side profile, it actually does have a kind of original 240-ness about it.
It does, yeah. Yeah, I think they really did... They kind of really did it justice. And, you know, I was just kind of... I was beating on the 370Z there. I actually quite like the 370Z. I really like the 370Z Nismo. I've always found the interiors to just be a bit complicated, and they really clean things up on this new Z. So what else have we got coming up on auctions then? We've got an Overfinch Range Rover TD V8. I'm a bit of a sucker for an Overfinch.
I've got an Overfinch carbon umbrella.
Do you?
Yeah, the boss of Overfinch.
Amazing.
It's very good. It's very good.
That's a nice gift.
I know.
Yeah. Anything caught your eye?
A 1990 Porsche 993 GT2 RS Evocation.
This might surprise you. It's not a 993 underneath.
Mm.
It's a 964.
Well, I kind of got that from the 1990.
Yes. Someone knows. Yeah, precisely. Because the 993 came in 92, 93? It's early 90s. Anyway, so yes, it's a 964 that has been massively modified to appear as a 993 GT Evocation. It looks flipping cool.
It's very striking. I'm not...
It looks pretty legit. You know, it does look like, you know, if you saw that, you'd go, bloody hell, that's a 993 GT. And getting your hands on an actual 993 GT will cost you £1-2 million. Whereas this, I mean, I don't know how much it's going to go for, but I would hazard a guess it'd be great if it went for several million, but you're probably going to be getting your hands on something that looks like a GT and will drive probably quite like a GT for a lot less than a GT. Last thing I wanted to bring up, TVR Tuscan Speed 6. because who doesn't love a TVR Tuscan? This one's in blue. Oh, I just want a TVR so badly, John. It's an itch I have to scratch.
I was given a magazine yesterday, not
that kind. I don't think they sell them anymore. There's such a thing called the internet. Anyway.
Yeah. And it's a TVR special.
Oh really?
Yeah, and there's a picture
fantastic.
of a Cerber on the front, and I got very excited.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to reading that.
Yeah, you can see the pictures of the TVR Speed 6 and you can bid on it as well. That one's going live on the 19th
One day
of October.
I'm going to buy a Cerber. I just want a Cerber. So you quite like the Tuscans, don't you?
To be fair, I like anything kind of late 90s to when they went bust the first time, or the last time. They go bust quite a lot. I mean, they've tried coming back recently, but it's not really happened, has it? I love the Tuscan. I love the Cerber. I love my dream TVR is the 440R, or the Typhon that they called it. They made 3 of them. It's the road-going version of the GT car, and I think Lawrence Tomlinson, who runs Ginetta, used to own one. Because I went to a Ginetta thing and just ended up talking to him about old TVRs. But he's a big TVR guy, and he had the Typhon or T440R or whatever. They're super cool. But anyway, all of that and more coming up on PistonHeads Auctions. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up, John? Actually, one more thing. This one is staggering. We have an E60.
Big claim. Okay, everybody.
It is staggering.
Stand up and get ready to be on the edge. This
will be live when this podcast comes out, so you will have time to bid on it, providing that you listen to this within the first few days. We have an E60 BMW M5 in blue with, get this, a BMW warranty. Nice. Still, this is a car that you probably want a warranty on, because the S85 V10 is known for being, it sounds great. It's got a lot of power. And known for getting your money's worth on a warranty. This is the first time I've ever seen an E60 M5 with a warranty still on it, all these years later. So, full service history. It's got 81,000 miles, 5 previous owners. Looks great. I really like those in blue. If you were ever considering an E60 M5, this is the one. Let's move on to our first topic.
Okay, what is our first topic?
It's a bit of sad news. Porsche's pulling out of the World Endurance Championship. That's the championship that competes at Le Mans. Now, if you've got any interest in motorsport, you may have seen this. But Porsche, which was a big proponent of the super popular hypercar regs that currently competes at Le Mans, and which has all these different manufacturers competing in it. They had the 963. I mean, it was on pole at Le Mans last year. It's in the run for the championship this year. It's a quick car. Porsche's been racing at Le Mans for the last 3 years consecutively. And they've just announced that they're pulling the plug on the program. So obviously they put out a statement for this, and Dr. Michael Steiner, who's a member of the board for development at Porsche, said, "We very much regret that due to the current circumstances, we will not be continuing our involvement in the WEC after this season." And you won't believe what they're going to be prioritising over this, John.
What?
Formula E.
Formula E?
Yeah. Imagine getting rid of your Le Mans program.
I could do a
because
good
you would
impression.
rather be focusing on Formula E. Oh, Porsche, why?
I can do a good impression of a Formula E car.
Can you? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I saw a Formula E race last year, and it was.
And were you aware that you'd seen it?
They're much louder than you think they are, because they have a lot of transmission whine.
Oh, I do like a bit of transmission whine. I drove a Range Rover Sport the other day, a new one with transmission whine at 66 miles an hour, but I don't think it was meant to have that.
I don't think it was meant to have transmission whine.
That wasn't quite the good transmission whine that you meant to have. No.
You're a motorsport fan, John.
I am.
How's this impacted you?
Do you want me to? I can come up with all sorts of guff and bluster.
I was going to say I want your honest opinion, which we usually want from you. But yeah, go on.
I think sometimes it's very important to sit there and use there's 3 words, important words in the English language.
Right.
And they are, and not many people will say this because they have to kind of have an answer. They have to have commentary and
yeah.
But sometimes it's important when you don't know something to say, I don't know.
That's true. Yeah.
And the reason why I don't know is because I love motorsport. I love all forms of motorsport, but I have very narrow focus. And Formula One is kind of all-encompassing for me.
I get that.
I do, so I don't really follow the WEC, but I have massive respect for it. Same with things like touring cars and that kind of stuff. I don't really follow touring cars, but I do love. I mean, if there's ever a race on, I think part of it is because with Formula One, I'm so embedded in it. I know not everything about it, but I know a lot about it. And I know the drivers, and I know. Whereas sometimes it takes a leap. You have to really push yourself to get into a championship, and then once you become very aware of the drivers and you have all your favourites, and then it becomes more than the sum of its parts. I've never wanted to go to Le Mans particularly.
Oh God, John!
I know it's maybe.
I'm a massive Formula One fan, but I did my first Le Mans in 22, and I've been every year since.
Have you?
And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I adore. Well, we have the PistonHeads campsite, which you can register your interest to if you would like at PistonHeads.com. But it blows every motor race I've ever seen out the water, and I'll include the N24 in that. I'm sorry, Nürburgring 24 Hour. You're a great race, but Le Mans is just, particularly these last few years, with the hypercar regulations, there are just so many manufacturers. You've got Ferrari, you had Porsche, Aston Martin were in it this year with the Valkyrie, which sounded incredible.
Oh, I bet that sounded good.
I can rant about it because they've got these stupid sound mufflers on them because there's a noise limit in the World Endurance Championship. That's probably why Porsche's leaving, because of the blooming noise limits. But the Cadillacs, oh my God, the Cadillacs with 5.5 litre naturally aspirated V8. They sound like NASCARs, but they go like a Le Mans prototype. So they're just these projectiles, but the noise is just astonishing. And one of the reasons why I love Le Mans is purely for it's one of the last racing series out there where you go for the noise. And it's so much better in person than it is on TV.
Okay.
Whereas Formula One is the opposite. Formula One is sort of rubbish in person, particularly with the current engines. But on TV, it's great because you've got all the data and you've got the incredible graphics.
I used to have a bunch of mates who would always go down to Le Mans. And at the time, I had my M5 and they had 360s and 911 turbos and all that kind of thing. And it always sounded kind of good until I looked at the price it was going to cost me for a long weekend, which was ridiculous. Then you had to budget for the huge French speeding fines and potentially losing your car, because that was inevitable when you go over a bunch of friends driving fast cars.
I guess back then, because now you have various things that can tell you where gendarme might be. If you're...
Gendarme. Yeah.
Where the police might be if you're driving above whatever the limit might be.
But then see, for me, I do get what you were saying about the noise, and I just never really want to go to motor racing live, because other than when Formula One was in its, well, I would consider in its prime in terms of the V10s and the screaming 20,000 RPM V10 era, which was just, so compelling. And you had to go, and I used to go and watch Formula One races then, but I just do find that racing is, I'd much rather than sitting at the side of a track, watching a car flip by every now and again and just literally seeing it just go past my face. I know it's a bit of an old trope, this, but I have been to races where you're literally. I remember going to the British Grand Prix in about 1997, standing on the side, packed kind of embankment, because they didn't have even a grandstand ticket, so you're fighting your way to get to sit on a hillock somewhere, and you just see. I can see it now. Actually, in my mind's eye, I can see Mika Häkkinen flicking by in his West McLaren Mercedes.
Oh, amazing!
That was the first year they went to the West sponsorship. And David Coulthard, and from every almost like 3 feet of vision.
Le Mans, on the other hand, yes, the tickets are a little bit expensive, but when you're there, you've got a massive track that you can go to. The public viewing spots are incredible, and the best thing about it is it lasts more than an hour and a half. So obviously, with a 24-hour race, you have 24 hours of non-stop action, plus the qualifying, plus the practices, plus all the other bits that go along with it. And I think the great thing about it, like any motorsport really, if you really care, is like when you're there, you feel like you're witnessing history. At a Grand Prix, you go, I was at that Grand Prix, I saw so-and-so win. But when you're at Le Mans, it feels that little bit more special because it's a once-a-year thing. And it's you find that you don't quite have the same allegiances that you do in Formula One. You usually have your favourite team or your favourite driver, and if they don't win, you throw your toys out the pram, like I do. Whereas with Le Mans, whoever gets to the end first, 9 times out of 10, you go, you just did a better job.
Fair
Congratulations.
Play, mate.
Fair play.
Yeah.
You know, it's a 3-driver effort per car at least. And you just think, there's just so many incredible stories that go through a weekend. So, you know, this year, funnily enough, with Porsche, you had the number 6 car, which I think was thrown out of qualifying for some reason. And it started dead last, but it had some of the fastest drivers on it. I mean, the incredible talents. And just watching them work their way up through the field over 24 hours. But even in just the first 10 minutes, they chomped through half the field. They were just ridiculously quick. And it's all those little stories that I really love. And so it's such a shame to see Porsche pulling out of this because they've been a really important part of Le Mans these past few years. I mean, they've got the most wins at Le Mans anyway. And I guess it's almost like Ferrari and Formula One at that point of where it's like they're the most successful team ever, but you kind of want to see them win again. And a Porsche's a bit like that. They're the most successful team, and it's like just for them to have got one win, and they got really close this year, but it just didn't quite happen.
Although I admit to my lack of WEC knowledge is my limitation.
Yeah.
It's not because it's not exciting. It's just my limitation in focus and everything else. But it is sad to see a great manufacturer tied to a great event and a great championship, and then obviously the great single event of Le Mans.
It's sort of a symptom of a bigger problem there, really, because if you look at the Volkswagen group, they were meant to have an Audi project that pulled out so that they could focus on Formula One. Lamborghini, they've pulled out, so they were at Le Mans last year with 2 cars and didn't do too badly at Le Mans, but they did absolutely terribly in the rest of the World Endurance Championship, so they've gone, and now Porsche's been cut too. But it's a symptom of a bigger problem because it's not really been going.
What about Marcos?
Marcos?
Yeah. The last time I went to a World Endurance race was at Silverstone. It was in 1998 with the very beautiful CLK GTR Mercedes.
Yes, 98 would have been the CLK LM.
Oh, would it?
Sorry, yeah.
Geek.
Yeah.
And then
had a V8 instead of a V12.
Speaking of Porsche, the Porsche
911 GT1.
Yeah, it's very
beautiful car.
I thought the Mercedes was more beautiful.
I think they're both stunning, to be honest.
They are very beautiful cars.
Yeah,
but exactly. I always remember the Marcos. So Marcos still in?
Marcos, no. What's the most surprising manufacturer at Le Mans at the minute? Genesis is going to be in next year. But Porsche's, this is a symptom of a bigger problem, really, because Porsche isn't having the easiest time at the moment, really, is it?
No. And I think this is possibly... I feel sorry for a lot of legacy manufacturers because... whether this is the reason why they're pulling out or whether it's just an added complication, but I mean, it does feel. I do, yeah. So you've got a very mixed up car scene at the moment, haven't you? You've got politicians turning around and saying in certain countries and certain regions such as Europe saying we must have fully electric cars by this point. Internal combustion's gone. Then you've got other areas of the world where they're going, we don't care, no, you can carry on building these sort of things. Yeah. And then you've got new manufacturers in China and Tesla, for example, in America, we're relatively new, that don't have any legacy. They've chosen to build predominantly electric cars and focus on one narrow field. And at the moment, that market around the world is quite big, I suppose, if you go to China. But in pockets like Europe, it's relatively small.
That's it.
Unless you go to Norway or something like that. But most of predominantly Europe and certainly America, the electric car market is relatively small. But they can field enough cars or sell enough cars in that market to make a lot of money and do very well.
Yeah.
But then you've got the legacy manufacturers who are being told to do something, but their customers are saying, but we don't want an electric Porsche.
It's exactly.
We want. Yeah. I mean, and my friend actually is a case in point. My friend Jonathan, he's got a Tesla. He was thinking about buying a kind of sportier car. For years, he's been a bit evangelical about electric cars, which is fine. He likes them. They work for him. I've got no problem with that. But we have had arguments about noise and that kind of stuff. And then now he's decided, no, but he almost bought a Taycan as a kind of sporty electric car, but then went...
Taycans drive well, but they're not...
Well, in
the
end...
like a
sports
car.
Yeah, and in the end, he decided that he was going to... he wanted the noise, and he went... he went and bought a GT4.
Oh,
yeah.
Champ. Great car. Yeah.
Beautiful car, actually. GT Silver is a very, very good-looking car.
Very nice.
Yeah, so he didn't want a silent car for his kind of toy car, and that's really what Porsches are for a lot of people, aren't they? Because they're their toy, their treat, their special thing, and it's very difficult. So then, and it's really hurt them financially.
Yeah,
because
I think they're like down. They're down massively in China. There was a report this morning that suggested that sales globally, I think, are down about 6% ish. But in China, they've had a really big hit, which is strange because that's quite a hungry country hungry market for electric cars.
Well, it is, but the thing is that China's going through an economic problem in its own right. So ordinarily you would think that actually Porsche should be, or any high-end manufacturer producing electric cars in a market that's quite now geared up for electric cars would be quids in. But the problem is China's suffering because they've got a huge issue with depreciating housing stock and overbuilding in that area. And so actually a lot of people are struggling for employment at the moment.
Yeah.
So, it's obviously hurting these higher manufacturers in terms of electric cars out there. So, their biggest market is a problem.
Yeah.
Their home markets, domestic markets, let's face it, don't know what they're doing because of meddling politicians who don't really understand what they're doing with the industry.
You're spot on, really, because the one place where Porsche is doing well is in America. That's where they're going to keep the 963 program going in IMSA. Just wanted to go into the comment section of it. So we didn't actually put a story out on this, mainly because we had Matt Bird's review of the 992.2 GT3, the UK drive. So go and read that. But just went into the WEC thread that's going on the PistonHeads forums, and we've got Frederick Robinson saying, it was suggested at the start of the era that Porsche as a factory may well not be around for long, with the exception that it would become a privateer thing. But that's just not taken off, really, has it? Not especially. I think I read somewhere that they were trying to get 16 cars sold as privateers. That ain't happened. They've sold significantly fewer than that. CLK GTR, amazing username and properly fitting for this.
Well, I was going to say, it isn't amazing, but I like Frederick.
Frederick's
it's a really
Frederick's
nice name.
A great name too.
It's a great name.
And we've also got another great name for the third comment, but I'll go to CLK GTR first. And they say it's become too popular for private teams to enter. They're struggling to make space for the GT3s as it is, and the lesser class is fundamental to flogging cars that look something like the race machines. That's a really the road machine. Sorry, that is actually a really good point, because weirdly, it's sad that Porsche's going, but the World Endurance Championship and Le Mans is so flipping popular for the top class things that I don't really know how they're going to fit more cars on, really. And then finally, we've got Berg Climber 34, who I'm really hoping is actually Jörg Bergmeister in disguise.
We're still hoping. The offer's still out there for Jörg to come and be our mascot.
Come on it. He would have been great.
No, to be our mascot.
Our mascot?
Yeah, don't you remember last episode? Was it last one or the one before?
We talked about
Jörg, and we went, we love Jörg so much, he should be our mascot.
He should actually, yes, because he is a champion.
Yes.
He's literally.
I mean, on a serious note, if he happens to be listening and would like to come for an interview,
I'd love to get Jörg on this.
Oh God, yes, that would be good.
So Berg Climber 34 says, it is a huge loss. Endurance racing without the biggest player is a loss, but they can still run at Le Mans via IMSA and still in theory run through privateer teams. Which is possible. They're right. So this is where things get a bit complicated and maybe not as bad as you think it is. So the 963 won't be in the World Endurance Championship, so it won't race at Bahrain or Imola or wherever the championship takes them. But because Le Mans is special, it's a special event. What they do is, because they're still running in IMSA, if they win the championship, which they will this year, they'll get invited to race at Le Mans. The only thing that needs to happen is that there must be the same car running in the World Endurance Championship to allow them in. So, which is why sometimes when you see IMSA teams come over, you'll see some of the Cadillacs are IMSA teams because there's a Cadillac competing in the World Endurance Championship. So providing that a privateer runs 2 cars, 2 963s, Porsche will be allowed back in, and then no one will be complaining. But it's definitely possible. And it also looks like the GT3 cars are still going to race as well. So you'll still see, you can't really hear them because they're so bloomin' silent, the 911 GT3Rs running around. So it's not all doom and gloom. It's just a shame that if you go to a race that isn't Le Mans and not an IMSA race, you won't see a 963 running.
Can I ask a question?
Go on.
As somebody who's declared their lack of knowledge, but the thing about, is it just sour grapes and Porsche? Do you think it's?
Yeah.
Do you think it is that as well as the money that's involved, or do you think it's just because they're not winning?
I'm glad you brought that up because I think it was CLK GTR that says, I didn't actually read the whole comment. Sorry, CLK GTR and your delightful V12 engine. But yes, you did say, can't help but feel this is sour grapes from Porsche. They're not winning, so taking their toys and going home. Is it? I mean, this is kind of what I thought was going to happen with Hypercar anyway, because there are so many manufacturers in it, and you now have Ford coming in, and Genesis coming in, and McLaren's coming in, and I feel like there might be another one that I've forgotten. It is that kind of feeling of like, oh, everyone's got a shot to win it, so we all come in, and because they haven't, they've gone, no, don't really like it. There is this thing, however, called balance of performance, which allows, the idea is that it levels the playing field. But this year in particular has been quite something where Ferrari won pretty much everything up until after Le Mans, and then have just completely fallen off the pace through some balance of performance changes. So it's one of those things where you can build a really good car, but the powers that be could look at you and go, oh, you're dominating too much, we're just going to add a bit more weight and take off some of your power, and then you're at the back of the field, which doesn't seem like something that Porsche would be all that interested in. So is it sour grapes? Probably. But also, Formula E, I think, is probably cheaper to run, sadly.
Does anybody look at that, though?
No, but it's one of those back-patting exercises, I think. It's like, we're in Formula E and we've done a really good job. Well done. And there are 2 or 3 fans out there. When I was there, the grandstand had a person or 2 in it.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
Because, again, my limited knowledge, it feels that, and am I right in thinking there was a period of time when, for example, Audi were in it?
Yes.
And basically it was only like Audi and one other manufacturer.
So Audi and Pescarolo, and nothing.
And then, so if you were driving an Audi, you were going to win.
Yeah.
Unless it was badged to Bentley,
yes.
In which case and they wanted Bentley to win that year, you were going to win.
Yes, yeah.
So that's come on a lot. So it's now oversubscribed.
Hugely. It's
really?
Massively oversubscribed.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's to the point of where, you have this. When I first went in 22, you had there's a field called LMP2s, which they're all pretty much the same.
I remember, I'm aware of LMP2.
They're basically, you have the hypercars that drive by and you go, wow, that's it. And then you have a field of like 15 LMP2s, which are a bit yawn. And then you have the GT cars. And that field's been getting smaller and smaller because there's so many. I would love to see them get rid of the LMP2s. Sorry, Le Mans fans, and just have it all hypercar and GT. And that's it. So it's a loss that Porsche's going, but you still have Valkyries and Ferraris, and Toyota's now got a new car that's coming along, and we've obviously got the Genesis, and we've got BMW, and we've got so many others that I would have missed. There's so much variety. So yes, even if you're purely focused on Formula One, and obviously the loss of Porsche from the World Endurance Championship is a bit rubbish. Still go to Le Mans anyway because it's awesome, and Porsche might be there anyway.
And then you can come back and tell me why I'm wrong.
Exactly.
And close-minded and silly.
Because John doesn't listen to me.
No.
Should we move on to our second topic?
Let's do it.
So, if you don't know, this is where we go through the forums and find a PHer who's in need of some buying advice, and then we'll go through the classifieds and the auctions to try and find a car that fits their needs. So I found a post by Mr. McCorber, who John has just pointed out.
Is it actually Mr. McCorber?
Let me say that again. Sorry, but yes, say that. So I found a post by Mr. McCorber.
Oh, Charles Dickens, Mr. McCorber?
I imagine it's the same fictional character who's looking now for buying something really quite interesting, actually. So they've said, as the thread title suggests, and the title is 911 or DB11 V8, I am looking for collective thoughts on which to buy. I have a Taycan CT4S, company car as a daily driver, which I actually really like. But I am a petrol head at heart and would like to buy a second car for weekend and occasional use. I have space in my garage for it, so it will not need to live outside. This is going to be a good one. I narrowed it down to these two as I've always loved 911s, but I also really like the look and noise of the DB11. I need a car with at least tiny back seats just in case a third passenger ever needs to be taken on a short journey. I have 2 teenage kids, and I would like something that will work when I go to use it without being mid-4-figure expensive to run every year. The V8 DB11 appealed with it being cheaper to tax and potentially a bit more involving to drive than the V12. For the 911, I guess it would be at least an S model. Something that feels a bit special, is fun to drive, nice to look at, and won't try to kill me when I drive it. I would also much prefer a coupe over a cab, but I do quite like a Targa 911. I quite like a Targa 911 too. I have a budget of around £70,000 to £90,000, so I can get into a 992 or a very good 991 and easily get a DB11 with an AM dealer with a warranty at that price. There seems to be less choice of this sort of car than there used to be for some reason. I'd be open to suggestions of vehicles that I might have missed. That said, I don't like the Maserati. It doesn't say any particular Maserati, just I don't like the Maserati. Would love an FF, but the bills frighten me. Is there anything obvious I have overlooked? What are your thoughts? John, What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts, Mr. McCorber, is that don't worry, something will turn up.
Is that a reference to the...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
As we talked about off air, I'm rubbish at reading books. And so are you. So,
Mr. McCorber is very optimistic. Something will turn up.
Yeah, well, okay, great.
There we go. Right. Something has turned up. First of all, I guess I should answer the question of 911 versus DB11 V8.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's actually a good place to start, to be honest.
Both great cars. DB11, when it first came out, terrible. The early V12 versions, terrible. But I remember being genuinely scared to when I was driving the very, very, very early V12 one. But then I went to the launch of the V8, and as is very typical of Aston Martins, they launched the car, wasn't very good, wasn't finished. Then a few years later, after a little bit more work, the work that should have been done perhaps before the first one was launched, it was really good.
Very Aston Martin.
Yes, but genuinely, when I went to drive the V8 version, it was transformed. And so the V8 DB11 have a lot of time for. Definitely don't buy an early V12 DB11. There's no reason you shouldn't be considering a later one if it's within your budget in terms of V12, but fine default V8.
Yeah, I think it's the tax that puts them off the V12.
Oh, sorry. In that case, yeah, V8. Then the question is, would you buy that over a 911? That's a big question, isn't it?
Yeah, particularly as the budget allows for quite a nice 911.
So let's look and judge by the examples I found, because I had a little look and I found
Fantastic.
2 examples of each. In fact,
Great.
No, 3 examples of each. So the first is an Aston Martin 2019 DB11 V8, done 14,000 miles with one owner. So
colour's gorgeous on that. It's like a very dark maroon.
I'm trying to find
the name of it.
Yeah, no, it's not in the spec, but it's at Aston Martin Cheltenham, and it is a very, very lovely shade. And I chose this particularly because you get, I don't know, lots of white ones and lots of odd colours, but this one was in my opinion, the classiest looking DB11 V8 on PistonHeads. However, if somebody is not interested in my elegant look, then I have another one to offer, which is a 2022 Aston Martin DB11 up at 89,950. And that is in it's a weird one, but I've chosen.
Like that. It's a gloss grey of some sort.
And the reason why I've chosen this one is because it's a complete antithesis of the other one.
Yeah.
So it's primer grey with oddly a primer grey roof, but then the A pillars all the way down to the B pillar, the C pillar, is black. So it's kind of, I've never seen that before, quite distinctive.
Yeah, because usually they have the black roof or the body colour roof, not...
Well, or the whole upper surface above the window line will be a different colour to the rest of the bodywork.
Much more
but this one has got...
me. Yeah.
Oh, have I?
Yes.
Oh, excellent.
Well done.
So it's a different one. The 911s I've chosen, you are in budget to get a 991.2.
Yes.
And probably a 992.
That's kind of what he was saying. Or what they were saying is that they're looking for either a 992 or a 991. But they didn't say .1 or .2.
Okay. So to be clear, 991.1.
Yes.
Naturally aspirated, 911. 991.2, the very first of the all turbocharged 911s, and then obviously 992 is the later edition of that. So my recommendation for Mr. McCorber is don't bother with a 992.
Yeah.
Because I've never quite gelled with them. I'm not saying that my love, for example, of a GT3 RS or GT3 isn't real. It's just that there's something about, and to be honest, the minute when they went turbocharged, they lost a little bit for me. I no longer love them like I used to. It doesn't mean I can't write nice things about them and I can't appreciate them, because don't forget, everything's relative. Like,
precisely.
Just because the 911 isn't quite as good in my mind as it used to be, it doesn't mean that relative to everything else, it's still not very much a great car.
It's still a stellar car.
Okay, so just bear that in mind if anyone starts criticising me for, you wrote some really great review of the 992 GT, whatever. That's the reason why. The fact you can have a naturally aspirated 991 version, why would you choose the 3-litre turbocharged versions?
I get that. The only thing I will say is that when the 991 came out, this was the first car that went to electric power assisted steering. So obviously the 997 was the last hydraulic. This was electric steering, and some say that the 991.1 didn't feel quite as nice as the hydraulic steering. What do you think of that?
I would much rather take the suspension setup, the body control of a 991.1 over the and also the brake pedal feel and the, to be honest, steering. Again, maybe it's all relative at the time. I don't ever remember driving a 991 thinking the steering in this car is awful.
Yeah,
the whole car's brilliant apart from the steering. I just loved the car. And do you know my favourite version that I drove, and it would have been about 2015, was the 911, so 991 GTS. And I found one, and Mr. McCorber mentioned a Targa, didn't he?
He did, yes.
Funny enough, I found a 2015 Porsche 911 991.1 Targa 4 GTS.
In mostly the same spec as the DB11 you just found.
It's grey.
Gloss black, gloss-ish grey.
Grey.
Sorry, gloss black wheels, gloss-ish grey body. Looks great.
It does look good. Good looking car.
Love the Targa.
Personally, the Targa to me is too heavy.
I get that. I always find the Targa GTS a bit of a mixed character in the sense that you're getting a car that's a bit more focused, but it's got the weight of the Targa, and it's like, oh, really?
Yeah.
A good spec for a Targa is like a 4S.
Yeah.
Where it's just very
power.
GT-ish. Yeah.
But so anyway, like they're having said to me, I think you should buy this car. Don't now buy it because it's too heavy. All I'm saying is, if you like the Targa, then great, go for it, because it's a good looking car, but it does spoil it dynamically. Unfortunately, the reason why I'm offering it is that I couldn't find just a 2-wheel drive GTS.
Yeah. That was a 991.1. We have a few 991.2s.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was... But it still looks good. It's got 3 previous owners, 54,000 miles. Yeah, tidy looking car.
And can I mention very briefly my other choice?
Yes, please, yeah.
Well, actually, I've got 2 of these.
Yeah.
So, 50th anniversary. So that was the special edition from 2013. Ooh. I found a black one that is 79,991, and it's weirdly for a car that's quite a special car. It's done 64,500 miles, which is a lot. Which is why the price is relatively reasonable, because that's quite a sought after. It's got the heritage interior.
It has some houndstooth right there.
Exactly.
Very
really
nice.
So really nice, beautiful spec. But if 64,000 miles sounds a bit scary, shouldn't do. But if it does, look what else I found. I found exactly the same car. So a two-wheel drive.
A 50th anniversary.
50th anniversary. Yeah. It's also 2013, because that's when they came out.
You've been a big old creep with this, though, John.
But a bit of budget creep. £115,000, actually nearly 116,000. But my God, look at it. It's only done. This one's done 6,800 miles.
Yeah, it's been babied. How would you describe that colour?
Well, I don't really know.
It's kind of.
Some people are going to hate it. It's
kind of pastel-y, yellowy green.
Well, the way I would describe it is a modern version of because obviously it's a heritage, because it's the 911 50th anniversary was meant to be harking back to 911s of old. It's got that slightly 60s, 70s sort of pastel yellow vibe.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a metallic, and it's got all sorts of green. But I think it looks. I love a colour that's a bit different.
It's the kind of colour that you see on posh kettles in posh kitchens.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it.
Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah.
I think it looks really good.
Go and have a look. Choose between the two. Do you want to go for the black one, or do you want to go for my favourite choice, but is out of budget?
Can you pick one to put for? I'm going to take away the one that you've just shown me.
Oh.
Which is the one that you're going to put forward as this is the car I want to recommend?
Well, that's not fair, because that's the one I really
You've
want.
been too much of a creep. Again, 150. That's quite a lot out of budget.
All right, fair enough. So if I had found a two-wheel drive coupe GTS, that would be my choice. On the basis that I haven't found that, it's the 2013 50th anniversary at 79,991. Oh, interesting, 991. There we go, price. With 64,000 miles in black.
Fantastic.
That's my choice.
Fantastic. You have been really good this week, John. I'm really proud of you, because until the last car, you had followed all of the criteria spot on. I, however, have not followed it at all, in the sense that I thought that if you went after, these were the two cars that they were after, I thought maybe I would offer some alternatives. The first car is one that they've already ruled out. My first car is a 2015 Ferrari FF. For 89,995, which is right at the high end of the scale.
So can I just clarify that it's right at the high end of the price scale?
Yes.
And also, was one of the criteria not something that's going to cost a fortune?
And that's absolutely
to maintain.
Right, yes.
So basically, you've managed to screw up on every count.
But they
Apart
have
from
said
a
this is
Ferrari.
going to be a weekend car. So as a weekend away car, who wouldn't want a V12 Ferrari GT that you can drive down to the Alps and ski or do whatever Ferrari GT drivers do? It's in Grigio something, so it's grey, a dark grey, with yellow brake calipers. I believe that's going to be a black interior. No, it's not. It's it's a tan interior.
So we like a tan interior.
Yeah, I know. We're going to say this in every podcast, how we like tan and light interiors. But it's a really, really beautiful spec. 4 previous owners, 38,000 miles. Yes, it's going to be probably expensive to run. Definitely on the fuel side. But it's a weekend car. Maybe reconsider the FF. I know you'd just about ruled it out, but I'm just going to give you a prod and say, maybe have another look, because this one's really nice. On to slightly more serious alternatives. I went to BMW and I thought I'd have a look at the M8 competition. Now, obviously, this is right at the top end of the M scale, not including the XM, but the less said about that, the better. It's only a little bit, it's well within budget. So we got £74,500, 11,000 miles, and it looks lovely. It's kind of a metallic maroon. Describe it as black interior. Yeah, it's like a dark red.
It's more, it's lighter than, more ready than my DB11.
It is more ready than your DB11. I would say that perhaps I would rather drive a 911 over an M8, but as a GT, the M8 is Really very good. And it's also flipping fast because it's got 617 horsepower. So it is utterly rapid. Does that do anything for you? Does it get you excited a little bit?
Of all the cars we've mentioned so far, that's my least favourite. I do agree it's a very good long... Well, it's sort of a good long-distance car. I remember doing a lot of driving in those, but I don't ever remember coming away particularly impressed by it.
I thought so too. Which is why I went digging a little further in BMW, and I went actually to the complete opposite end of the M scale. I found an M2, but I found an M2 CS. So this, for pretty much the same price, 74,950, is an M2 CS. And the CS versions of BMWs are extraordinary. So I did the M3 CS Touring a few months ago, thought it was incredible. Did the M5 CS several years ago. That was leaps and bounds over the standard car. And the first one I ever drove was the M2 CS. It is an auto, so it's a flappy paddle, but as something that drives brilliantly and we will feel light and agile and lithe. Is lithe the right word?
Yeah, lithe is good.
Cool.
Well, as long as it's the right...
I think so.
It's the proper description.
One former owner from new, 5,500 miles. This is a really lovely car.
I've never driven a CS. I don't like the M2.
You've not driven a CS before?
No, I've never driven a CS. I've driven an M3 CS, and I've driven the previous shape M3 CS, and I know what CSs tend to be like because the previous shape M3. What's that one again? That'll be the one.
The G80 M3.
Okay, so the one
F80, sorry, not G80. That's the current one.
So I didn't like that M3 at all.
Yep. No.
Then they made the competition, which was better, a little bit less snappy.
Yeah.
And then they brought the CS out. Oh my God! It was just a car that the M3 should have been to begin with.
Oh, 100%.
What an awesome car! So I know how good it is when BMW go into their competition.
Yeah.
What is it? Club Sport.
Yeah, it really is an incredible car, and it's just a huge amount of fun. I think it's not going to feel nearly as kind of premium and luxurious as a DB11 or a 911, but as something to drive, I would say it's going to be up there with the 911. It's definitely going to feel a lot more track focused and a lot of fun.
Having not driven it, that's a hell of a statement. To put that in the same ballpark as the one of the best eras of 911.
As something to drive, as an everyday car to drive, a 911 is better. But for something to have a heck of a lot of fun in, M2 CS, I would say, is up there.
I get that, and I think what you've done there is it may not be to the taste of Mr. McCorber, but you've added an extra dimension and another
layer.
Yeah, exactly. A good alternative in a very different world.
That's my choice. I think if I had to put one forward, yeah,
one of yours,
one of mine, I'm going to probably pick the M2 CS.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
So it's M2 CS versus the 911 50th anniversary. That's a good pairing there.
And which one would you choose out of the final two?
If it was me, I'd probably the M2 CS.
I had a feeling you wouldn't go with that.
I probably were going to regret saying that. But what about you? I think you would go for the 911.
Yes, I'd have to.
Let's leave it at that because we've been agreeing way too much lately and we need a little bit of
a frisson of discord.
There we go, finally. Very well put. So if you like my car, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a story up on the PistonHeads homepage. So just comment below, I prefer the M2 CS, or comment that you like John's 911 better, or leave your own. I'll also pop these up in the original post as well, and you can go into that forum topic, put your own suggestions forward, or if you've got a car that you'd like to sell, either go onto the PistonHeads Classifieds or go to PistonHeads Auctions. Just go to www.pistonheads.com/sell and choose which way you would like to sell. And while I've got you, we're running a promotion with Michelin. You can get up to £100 off a new set of Michelin tyres. Just go to www.pistonheads.com/Michelin, fill in your car details, and find out how much you could save. It's probably going to be up to £100. John.
Yes.
Final topic for this week. And I've already screwed up with this one, to be honest, because I saw the date that it was posted. And for some reason, I think it was just been bumped up recently. It was actually posted back in February. So the person's actually...
matter?
Well, they were planning for a trip in April, which has already happened. But I thought we could just attack this anyway for some good advice for people looking to do what this person's wanting to do. So this was posted by Jamie and the Magic. Amazing name. We've got
Jamie,
some great magic.
Do you know the relevance of that?
No?
Jamie and his magic torch.
No, don't know.
Kids program.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe this is a reference to Jamie and his magic torch.
Well, it is, you idiot.
Yeah, okay, well,
of course it is.
Maybe it's his band name. Maybe it's his surname. Jamie and the Magic. He says, me and a mate are going to Techno Classica in Essen in April.
Well, take your torch.
And your magic torch. As well as a few days there and an obligatory day at the ring, we plan to allow a day to seek 200 miles per hour on the autobahn.
Ooh.
Save your oars because you haven't seen the car yet. We've got a modified CL55 AMG with over 600 horsepower and fresh tyres to do it. Whether it will or not will be a close thing. It's definitely got, 600 horsepower. It's definitely going to be getting up there. We need to do this as safely as possible. This is actually the reason why I picked it out, because it seems like Jamie and the Magic are actually taking this quite seriously and wanting to do it like, they should. With some German mates, we've ID'd the E31 north of Essen. It's a long straight with lower levels of traffic. Not looking to do this at night, as whilst it might seem a better time, there's the risk of animals jumping out, and no headlights at that speed will help. We plan to drive the E31 at sensible speeds to find a section between a few bridges/junctions that contain no compressions or issues in the road. Turn around and to the other side of the road, then gradually build up the speed along this chosen section. Only if there's a clear run and no traffic on the lane inside of us will we attempt building up the speed to this level. Has anyone else done this method, tried it, succeeded/failed, etc.? Just looking for advice, tips, and any prior knowledge on this topic. So, comments. Doofus says, I can say from experience, if you're trying to max out on the autobahn, you're in for a shock. Stuff happens incredibly quickly at 150 miles an hour, and all other traffic doesn't know A, what you're attempting, and B, that you're not experienced at it. I chickened out a little below 160 and have zero desire to do it again on a public road. Dan98 says, how will you ensure no traffic will appear on the inside lane short of closing an entire section? From memory, this only has 2 lanes. It'll just take a dozing LKW, that's like a heavy goods vehicle in German speak, driver to go for an overtake somewhere ahead of you as you're traveling at literally 4 times his speed, and something awful will ensue. There are also quite a few factors that can take you by surprise, which a British driving test doesn't train for. So it's a no from me. It's a tricky one because a lot of people obviously want to go as fast as they can, and the autobahn allows for it. It does seem that Jamie and the Magic really is taking this very seriously, because it's not as easy as just going on the autobahn and driving as quickly as you can, right?
No, and some of the comments I think are a little bit they're not taking into account somebody's given a very, I would say, he's done more thought about it than I have when I've been driving.
I would say 99% of people, yeah.
Yeah, so the fact he's going along to build up and to check for compressions is
Finding the
very
right
sensible.
Stretch of road, yeah.
And fair play to you. I didn't do that. When I go, generally speaking, I just think, oh well, there's a straight bit and a stretch with not too many cars on it. I'll go for it. Obviously, do make sure that your car's damping is up to snuff.
That's a really good point.
If you've got when you are on tyre dampers, we talked about mass and with the old yang wang, and as soon as you start putting big speeds into things, there's a lot more energy involved, and if your damping is not quite good enough, then you can get yourself into trouble. And same goes to tyres. I think I'm not going to patronise our.
Jamie and the Magic has said that they have a fresh top dollar tyres.
Yeah. But again, no harm in reinforcing that. Tyres, most crucial thing.
Yeah, I guess you probably have to make sure that you set pressures for when you're going at 200, because the tyre pressures are going to be changing at speed, aren't they?
They will be.
Yeah.
Yes. So
it's not easy, is it?
No, it's not. And you probably want to raise them up, wouldn't you? Well, just raise them up to the I mean, a lot of German manufacturers will sit there and give you a pressure for over certain speeds. But I've never done 200 miles an hour on the autobahn.
Yeah.
And I think the closest I've come was about 185, something like that. And I do remember that was in a Bentley Mulsanne Speed. I was on the launch of the Mulsanne Speed. And I came back from so I was in the car. And I was like, right, I think it would do about 190, maybe a bit more.
Okay.
And so I got about 185. This is miles an hour, obviously. And then I remember I came back. We had the lunch stop, and the boss of Bentley at the time was one of the German guys. I can't remember what his name was now, but anyway, when I came back, he said to me, "Did you max the car out on the autobahn?" So I thought I would say no, and I said, "Oh no, I only did about 150," and thinking that he would be disappointed if I'd, taken his top of the range Bentley at the time,
yes,
and just gone and
hammered
it down the road. And he thumped the table and said, "No, you must, on the way back, you must make sure you push the car to the limit because it's so stable at 190 miles an hour." And I was like, "Oh, okay then." It's the first time I think I've ever been encouraged to do something in that capacity. But anyway, you can do it. I also remember the RS3 that I had, the current generation RS3. Weirdly, that day, I didn't get to 200 in that because it wouldn't do it, but I think it was delimited, it will do 180 or something. And that day, I spent quite a lot of the day doing 160 sort of, because it got 160 quite quickly.
Yeah, oh yeah. Is this the new RS3, the current one?
Yeah, the current one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And it got to 160 quite quickly. And so I ended up doing it. It was just one of those days where it was quite empty.
Yeah.
It was in like very sort of that hinterland, that kind of 11 o'clockish when people are either they've gone to work, they've got done the commuting, and they're not coming out for lunch or something like that. So yeah, that worked really well. But still to get to 200 miles an hour. Some of these comments are right that you do. Top speed. It becomes very normal. It doesn't. Your brain adjusts to it quite quickly, but there is a period of adjustment.
Yes.
So don't underestimate that. So this talk about, yes, you are doing 4 times the speed of trucks, but your brain will adjust to that. But in that period of adjustment, be very, very careful, and don't think, we've been trying this all day. The light's going to go and blah, blah, blah. And there's just that one opportunity and I'm nearly there. But there is a couple of trucks. I can see them in the distance. Don't risk it because if one of them pulls out, then you are stuffed. And do you know what the truth of it is? Apart from bragging rights, if you end up doing 185 or 210, it's really not. The experience, the sensory experience isn't going to be that much different. So just don't risk your life for that last 1, 5 or 10 miles an hour, because just sit there and go, I want to have a nice day and enjoy my day and let's see what happens.
Just don't look at the speedo. I just go for it. Make sure your eyes are always locked ahead, looking at everything that can possibly happen. And I guess there was a technique that had a traffic police person told me, because he was chauffeuring. He does some chauffeuring for Mercedes. I've probably talked about this before. And he was saying he uses like a radar technique, which is basically scanning up the road and back down again. And you're just constantly doing that. That's how the police drive when they've got to be going through traffic, because you can always look ahead as you would do on a racetrack. But unlike a racetrack, you could have a lorry that's quite close to you that just suddenly pulls out. So you've got to constantly be kind of scanning backwards and forwards. And so just don't bother looking at the speedo. Maybe put like a GoPro on there to record it, and then you can look back on it later and go, oh yeah, we did. Because then also it takes the pressure away of, we've got to hit 200 miles an hour. I've got to go that little bit further. It just means you'll get the maximum out of the car and you without feeling as though you've got a threshold to meet.
I think it's the threshold
that's
is the thing that will be your undoing potentially.
Yeah. But also, I think you really can't underestimate how much faster speed feels on a public road versus a racetrack. So I think I did several years ago. I did probably 165 at it was COTA, the Grand Prix circuit in America. I was in a 620R McLaren, and that felt.
If anybody's hearing some thumping, we are meant to be in a studio.
Yeah, we're in a.
But there is somebody is thumping away outside, and we are. Yeah, we.
Yes, apologies for the thumping. It's just merely there's some people outside who seem to be running headfirst into walls, and you'd think they would have stopped by now, but no, they keep doing it. So I was going about 165, and that felt like I was doing 70 on the motorway. I think when you're on a Grand Prix circuit, because there's no visual reference really of how fast you're going, you're just focused on the braking zone, and that braking zone is just gradually getting closer and closer to you. So your sense of speed is actually quite slim. That's why whenever, I love racing games, and whenever I see people talking about, wow, the sense of speed is so good, I'm like, that's not what racing is like. When you're driving quickly, you don't feel like you're going that fast, particularly on a straight. Whereas on the autobahn, you have so many more points of reference for your speed. You've got cars that are moving far slower than you are. You've got even road markings make the difference, because if they're flying by a lot faster, you go, oh God, I'm really picking up some speed now. So it genuinely is quite a tense thing. I tried going as fast as I could in an RS3, but the previous generation RS3, so the kind of late 2010s version. I was driving one of those, and I much prefer the current generation RS3 to the previous one. I thought the previous one just didn't feel especially, I would say put together is the wrong thing, but I felt like I was on top of the car when I was driving it, and it did feel a bit tall and topply, which is a bit odd. And I'll admit I chickened out probably at about 130, 140. Just because I just felt like I hadn't prepared. I wasn't on a stretch of road that felt like it was particularly, didn't feel like a long straight that was just clear of traffic. I just went, I'm on an autobahn, I'm going to gun it. And that's where you're going to run into problems. So if you do happen to have any trips to Germany planned and you want to go really fast on the autobahn, there's some handy tips. And I'll also leave a link to this topic in the story.
Did we do that responsibly?
I think that was quite responsible.
Because I can see people, you're encouraging people to speed and do stupid things.
Hey, that's a good point, John. So this is not something that we're not saying go to the autobahn and see how quickly you can go. It's just we know that there's a lot of people that will do that and will want to kind of tick that box. And if you're going to go and do it, and you're going to Germany, and there's a lot of people that travel on the autobahn every day who go extremely quickly because it's unlimited. Just be prepared. Prepare your car, prepare yourself, and just don't worry about not going the speed that you wanted to.
If Jamie is going back with his magic torch, just make sure you only take the magic torch before doing any long high-speed runs, and not anything else that's magic.
That was the thing we all needed to hear. And on that...
As the Verve said, the drugs don't work.
Yeah. Yeah. So on that note, that wraps up this week's episode of The Gassing Station. Thank you ever so much for listening. And if you did enjoy what you listened to, please leave us a 5-star review, because it makes such a difference and makes us feel nice and means that we make better podcasts. John, anything you want to end on?
Absolutely. Everybody, just say no.
And on that note, we shall see you next Tuesday.